This third part of the series of common mistakes deals with eagerness to checkmate. And the inspiration, of course, comes from uh, the book called The Middle Game by Max Erver, written a long time ago, but a very um, good treatise on the middle game. And so, again, we're going to look at this particular um, common error and break that down into three sections. One is going to be unjustified kingside attacks, unjustified checks, and of course, unjustified sacrifices. Now, let me just share with you a little bit of what Max Other has to say about the eagerness to checkmate. And so he says, the chess player's one objective is admittedly to checkmate the opposing king. Experience has shown, however, that for achieving this aim, the sensible policy is to content oneself at first with more modest objectives. And this coincides exactly what Aaron Nimzovich said in the book Blockade. That he said basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that uh, a master, to become a master, you must content yourself with the accumulation of small advantages. So it's the same thing in different wording, and this is true because you playing players 22, 2300, 2400. You're not blowing them out of the water. you know, um, 9 out of 10 times with some quick checkmate or something like that. You're going in the deep waters. You know, you're gonna be on to a lot of end games and stuff like that. So you have to be learn to be content with small advantages like having the two bishops, having the weak square to deal with, having the 3-2 pawn majority, stuff like that. Okay, so then he goes on to say, even among the stronger players, however, there remain some champions of the direct mating attack. Their choice of opening, King's Gambit, Black Mardima Gambit, etc. Let me add, Evans Gambit, Danish Gambit, uh, Budapest Gambit, right? Signifies their intention. The results of the adherents of this style of play are subject to violent fluctuations, surprising wins against stronger opponents, alternate with equally surprising losses to weaker ones. In other words, live by the sword, die by the sword. Yes, sometime, playing the real sharp combative style, you're gonna have some fantastic victories, but then you're gonna, have some dismal losses. You know. So let's get into it. Um, let's see. Oh, one more thing he has to say about unjustified kingside attacks. Irva says there was a time when players would start an attack with a single piece. It often happens in the games which have come down to us from the days of Morphy and Anderson. And he says those days are gone. Says today the most inexperienced beginner soon gets to know that it is essential to bring the pieces into play before contemplating any attack. Certain features must be present in a position before it is right for a kingside operation. So again, sounding like Steinitz, basically saying that the position has to be, the guidepost. You can't just attack out of the clear blue, but the position must be set up for it. And he says if these features are lacking, the prospects for the kingside attack are not very good. All right, with that, let's get into our first example. Tartakower and Tartakover, right? The W's are pronounced as V's in English, so Tartakover and Lasker, New York, 1924. At this point, Lasker is 3 years removed from his championship. So C4, E5, A3, Knight F6, E3 from Tartakover, Bishop E7, Queen C2, Castle, Knight C3, D6, Knight F3, Rook E8, Bishop E2, Bishop F8, Castle, Knight C6, D4, Bishop G4, D5, Knight E7, H3, Bishop D7, Knight H2, Queen C8, E4, and Knight G6. Okay, first some general insight on this. The pawn formation As you can see, these pawns kind of pointed toward the queen side, suggests that the play for white should be over here on the queen side. Conversely, black should be playing for these breaks right here, like F4, right? So maybe like G6, F4, etc. Like in a King's Indian attack, so to speak. Sometimes black will play C6 and C takes here, but ideally, generally speaking, black should, black's pawn position suggests the play on the king side and white's on the queen side. Okay. With that said, after queen c8, e4, knight g6. With that said, white plays f4. Now, I just told you that the strategy that white should be going after should be more of a queen side, you know, um, strike with the moves b4 and c5. All right. Now, not that white can't play on the queen side, but it's normally, white can't play on the king side, but it's normally anti-positional because after e takes f4, this gives black a lot of counterplay as he can occupy the strong outpost on e5, right? Not only can he do that, but now he has a backward pawn to work against. Okay, so those are usually again, rules are made to be broken, but those are the general reasons why white doesn't usually strive for the break over there. Like he can, but it gives black um, play. Okay, now for white's argument, right? He's gonna obtain some strong pressure, right, on this F file, um, and what's in combination with the open F file, he's gonna bring his minor pieces, near the black king, and so the pressure that he hopes to, bring the bear upon the black position compensates for the counterplay that black is getting. So there's like a little bit of give and take, and that's another subject altogether because I notice a lot of like weaker players, they'll try to play a game where the opponent has like zero counterplay or zero chances, and then they'll start their attack or whatever. And it just doesn't, games between strong players just don't go like that. Usually, both players have chances, or it's an evaluation thing where you evaluate your chances as better than your opponent. So your opponent carries out his plan, you carry out your plan, but then in the end, your position is better, and then you take over the game. But it's rarely a situation where the opponent just doesn't have anything. Okay, so moving on. He takes f4 from Lasker. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Rook takes. And now bishop e7 from Lasker. Okay. So, again, as we said, black positionally, has this e5 square to bank on and this e4 pawn to target. All right. Also, bishop e7 is fighting against white's possible idea of even playing this move at some point. So, for example, if knight f3, then knight h5, and then this rook, white is forced to give up the exchange. After bishop e7, rook af1, white continues with his plan, right? Rook f8 from Lasker, queen d3, and now, bishop e8. It looks like a pure defensive move, but it's not. Yes, it defends, and remember, I said it in another video. Many times, a lot of these moves have more than one idea attached. This is like the basic idea is just defending f8, but the other idea is to vacate the d7 square And again, they exploit the weakness on e5. Um, and the thing is, with the knight on e5, it makes it real hard for white to attack. All right, so let's keep going here. So after bishop e8, Tartakawa played queen g3, and of course the obvious rook takes f6 is threatened, so queen d8, knight d1, knight d7, knight e3. Now here black wins material now after bishop g5. But if knight f3, of course preventing bishop g5, then black just has a nice grip on the position by playing bishop f6. So knight e3, bishop g5, and rook g4. f6, putting extra grip on this square, but then also threatening h5 and protecting the bishop at the same time. So queen f2, h5, rook g3, h4, rook g4, and now bishop h5. And again, I'm not gonna go through the rest of the games, but Lasker went on to win. But basically, I just want to show you up to here so that you can see that White's attack was refuted. So it was a double-edged situation where White went to attack on the king side, but in doing so, Black had his chances, and he was able to utilize the e5 square and his bishop pair to drive back the White attack. Our next game is from 1958 between Cardoso and Palbenko. Game started out e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3, d6, bishop c4, queen b6, knight b3, e6, castle, bishop e7, bishop e3, queen c7, f4, castles, and g4. Now, this move looks, pretty normal. And you see it a lot in similar Sicilian positions. However, in this case, it's a little bit weak. And the reason why is because black has not committed to h6 yet. Um, when h6 is played, it has more of a bite to it because it leads to an open file after, um, I just make a move. It has more of a bite with this pawn here because it can lead to an open file. All right, especially when white is castled already on the other side of the board and his king is not here. Okay, so those are major points that don't exist in this position. All right, or even if he's gonna drive the white pieces, drive the black pieces back with this move. For instance, knight jumps back here or has to, you know, um, get out of the way. Gaining time, in other words. All right, so it needs preparation, and the reason why is because G4 it's an attacking move, but it creates weakness. Like look at the situation around the king. All right, so it can't just be like played just willy nilly like that. So in this game after G4, of course H6 wasn't played. Banco just simply ignored G4 and struck right in the center with D5. Okay, and White is already in trouble, right? This premature attack on the king. He's already in trouble because after e takes d5, and just simply knight b4, right? Bishop is hanging, and then let's say after bishop e2, right? And then black is just, just counterattacking like crazy. So after d5, bishop d3 was played, and d takes, knight takes, knight d5, attacking this piece, and you can see that the g4 pawn is just kind of left hanging. Right? Has no business now. Bishop d2, a5, and black has the initiative. c3, rook d8, g5. Again, what is white attacking? This is just beating that air. Knight c1, queen b6, king h1, knight e3. Okay. Let me point out that of course the queen takes b2 is possible, but there's no point in being sidetracked. You know what I mean? There's no point in being sidetracked. Black is playing very logically in that he's just concentrating on the weaknesses which White's premature move G4 has created. So everything is revolving around that. He's not like gonna go on a new journey. I'm not saying Queen takes B2 is unsound, but his mentality is just to keep, basically just keep this objective. Like, okay, White has played this premature attack on the king side, and therefore he focuses his energies in that direction. So knight e3, bishop takes, queen takes, queen f3, and so White just simply trades down, but goes into this worst ending because now these pawns are just overextended and will be targeted. b6, bishop c2, bishop b7, and you can see again just the themes abound. So I'll leave it right there. Black, of course, Benko went on to win this game. That's a good example of premature attack. That eagerness to get at the king. Last one in this particular section of premature attack against the king or unjustified kingside attack is a game between the player Bend and with the white pieces in Petrosian, and this is from Zurich, 1961. So here's Petrosian is the sitting world champion at this time, and it's using the black pieces. So again, we'll just race through the opening with little commentary. Of course, Sicilian. a4, knight c6, king h1, of course, preparing f4, getting off the diagonal. Bishop e7, f4 castle, knight b3, b6, bishop f3, bishop b7, queen to d2, rook a, b8, and now g4. We have the kind of same principle. Again, h6 has not been played. So in other words, it has to be more. It should be more prepared. One issue I see is how this queen is just sitting in front of this bishop on c1. So the queen at least has to be here at f2 or g2 or something like that. Okay. Petrosian plays d5. Okay, very very difficult move to face. All right. Dynamic sacrifice here. So e takes d5, knight b4, and we see all of this pressure here on this diagonal. D takes, bishop takes, Rook takes, queen f7. All right. Notice the similarities and from the previous game. If queen c2 here, then this knight takes. Right. The queen will be overworked. So king g2, knight takes g4. Just unceremoniously losing the pawn. Queen e2, f5, knight d1. Petrosian plays rook f6. Right, devastating. c3, rook g6. Why not take a piece? C takes b4, knight e5 check. King f2, bishop h4, rook g3, knight g3, and this is just a brutal counterattack. King g1. I know white is saying, please let me take the g pawn back. Bishop takes g3, h takes g3, queen d5. Just all kind of abuse, taking place in the position, because of this premature attack on the king. Rook a3, rook h6. Things is just going haywire. Knight f2, and then just knight f2. White resigned here. The idea is if queen takes, and just checkmate. Okay. And then if king f2, simple chess. Rook h2, winning the queen. So that'll do it for this part of this section. Again, the eagerness to unjustified king side attacks or attacking prematurely on the queen side. So stick with me. We're gonna go with the our next video is gonna be on just unjustified checks. So you get people that like to check a lot. They think if they check that it means something. So we're going to get into that in the next video. So please like and subscribe and all that, and I'll see you on the next one.